Hello and welcome to the Social Recruiting Show. I'm Katrina Collier. I speak, train and write about the use of social media for recruitment. Of course, I'm joined by my fabulous co-host tonight who is, I always forget what you are, an employer branding nerd, or you're a recruitment marketing expert, or you're, don't know. Today, I think this is an awesome topic. I'm so excited about axing annual reviews. We've got Michael Heller, who is the founder of iReview. Did I say hello correctly?
You did.
Yay.
Very well, actually. It sounds classier when you say it than when I say it.
With my Australian accent. Hello. Sorry, I'm going to stop. Audra, take over.
Okay. So, Michael, could you walk us through what you've done in the recruitment and HR field and what iReview is, please?
Sure. I have been in HR and recruiting for more years than I care to admit. I basically started my career in recruiting, agency recruiting, in-house recruiting, recruitment management, and then an executive in HR for several companies, small companies, large companies. And a few years ago, I launched a consulting firm that did, HR consulting across the board. But I wanted to do it differently, and I said I wanted to do consulting that was really business focused and focused on what the business needs were, and then worry about HR and compliance and things like that afterwards. And as a result of that, I started to do some research about everybody hating the annual assessment. And I wrote my master's thesis on it. And about a year and a half ago, I launched my product called iReview, which helps people communicate more frequently around performance conversations, and then takes all that information and captures it and aggregates it and makes it so the managers who have to write annual assessments spend way less time writing them.
Awesome.
Which can only be good, right?
I hope so.
Yeah. I wonder who hates it worse. Is it the employee or the manager? I mean, it's kind of painful for both sides.
So there are 4 people that we've thought in an organization that it's painful for, and it basically covers everybody. So in other words, everybody hates it. The employees feel like they're getting their performance information way later than they should. It's coming, sometimes months after they could have corrected everything. And in a lot of cases, sometimes, and I was guilty of this too, managers forget something that happened 8 or 9 months ago. And then there's also, if everybody on the phone is familiar with the halo effect and the horns effect, sometimes managers just want to write about the good stuff or the bad stuff and not really give good, meaty information. Managers, on the other hand, typically will procrastinate writing that annual assessment because they know it's going to take, 2.5 hours on average per employee to write this thing.
So I always found it was. I'm echoing.
Yeah.
No, please.
Am I echoing?
That's better.
Oh, echoed for a minute. I hate that. Ugh. I always found mine was just, Katrina, you're blunt, obviously, because I'm Australian. We do blunt really well. And that'd be it. And there wouldn't be anything constructive with it. So they'd put it off and put it off and put it off. And then they'd just give you a sharp criticism. And that was it for the next year. And you'd be like, I've got to wait a whole year to improve the fact I'm blunt. How do I do that? There's nothing. So are you addressing some of that with the constant feedback or the?
We are. And part of what we do really well, I feel like, is we have this world-class training that trains folks not just on how to use the system, which is easy. It's an app, but really how to give good, effective feedback in short bursts so people can act on it. And that's where I think a lot of our value is added, is in the training and in the things that we give our clients when they come on board. But then if you think about executives, they want to tie their vision to individual action, and they think annual assessment is a good way to do it. It turns out it's not, because of all the things that I just mentioned. And then us in HR, we spend an inordinate amount of time chasing people down to give feedback. Hey, you didn't talk to your employee today. I mean, how many times?
Well, then you have the fallout, don't you?
Absolutely.
Because then you'd have me coming and crying on you, going, "You do call me blunt. I've got a whole year to commit. I'm blunt."
So Katrina, are you a little blunt?
Just a little. Okay. I'm Australian. We do blunt. We don't do any of this,
Right.
Britishness. I'm trying. I love this over here. So Jim's gone, of course. He's mentioned the M word just to wind me up on purpose. because he's also a very old millennial. So millennials want constant feedback. It's like, yeah, well, I'm sorry, but I am way past millennial and I want constant feedback as well. I love it when my clients give me feedback. Who doesn't?
You know what's funny?
You know you're getting it right or getting it wrong so you can adjust it and get it right. So then you hear you're getting it right. Like,
I'm guessing Jim may have taken that article from my blogs on my website, I think. And Jim, tell me if I'm wrong, or maybe you got it from someplace else.
That'd be so bad if you didn't, wouldn't it?
Well, it's okay. But, so
no, it's from Business Insider. How rude. They did copy and paste that straight from your website, though, by the looks of it.
Well, you know what?
She lied.
That is, our research told us that millennials do want more feedback more frequently. No question.
Yeah.
But you know what else our research told us? Everybody wants more feedback more frequently.
Yes.
Every generation, millennials are very vocal about it. Maybe if they were more vocal, this trend would have happened soon.
See, I go back to that thing where when you, because I'm sensing you might also be around my age group. When we started out, there was the job in the newspaper, and I'm sure I've said this when I'm doing blabs. There was one tiny little job in a newspaper, and that's all we thought there was. Whereas now you can Google and see there's all this visibility of how many jobs there are. So you can be a little bit more audacious at work. You can stand up and go, no, I want feedback. I want this because, you lose your job. Oh, well, next, there's 1,000 over there. I can see them on Google. So the fear has gone. That's the difference. I don't think it's an age thing. I think the fear has gone. Visibility. I'm ranting. I can feel it.
No, that's okay. Katrina, when you think about it, look, millennials, I know this is, in some cases, with our group, it's a bad word to use because people say, millennials are so entitled and, they want feedback more frequently and they want their trophy for 8th place. Yeah. There are so many good things about millennials. And look, I'm not part of that generation, as you can tell by my hairline. I'm than the millennials. But when you think about it, these guys are the most technologically advanced generation in the workplace.
Yeah.
And they love using their technology. We can learn from them too.
Absolutely.
Not just going the other way, but here's the challenge. Millennials make up the largest. Sorry about that, Mike. My shirt is giving somebody motion sickness.
Dude, stop moving.
Okay. I can't help it. I'm from New Jersey.
I love it, Mike. That's awesome. I never sit still or just like this. And I'm like,
you know what? Is it the pattern on the shirt?
Yeah, strip your shirt off.
Yeah, there you go. Woo!
I'm doing it.
Because then I'll look less naked. If I drop down, I look naked. It's really bad.
So,
it right. He has got a shirt underneath. I thought he had nothing. I thought we were getting that.
No, sorry. So anyway.
Hey! This is how you should have it Friday.
You know what they call me? You're Magic Mike.
Yeah, there you go.
So, you've got all sorts of encouragement going on down here.
Right, exactly. Okay. Mike Recruiter, better? Now I can move all I want.
Beat that. Live stripping and HR talk. What more could we want?
Right.
Awesome.
So what I was saying was that, we could learn from millennials, no question. Yeah, there are really, but what happens is they're the largest cohort in the workplace right now, and it's getting bigger. And if we lose these people, even if we can hold on to them for incrementally longer than we're doing now, then the companies are going to gain so much competitive advantage because, not only are we raising our retention rates, but these are people that can really, really make an impact. They're very, very attached to their mission, more so than any other generation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was funny yesterday, though. Wednesday, I was training a client. They're in construction. And a lot of the managers are like, this person changed role, and they were in the role 18 months, 2 years, and the previous role 18 months, 2 years. And the recruiter's saying to me, he won't even interview them. And I'm just going, you've got such a problem because the majority of their workforce is about to retire and they need to bring the younger generation, and they move. They move for more experience, and good for them. Again, I think it goes back to the fact they can see there are jobs out there, so they're not less scared. They will move.
You know what? It's
because
not
if it doesn't work out, they'll move again.
Right.
But there's the attitude shift that needs to come.
It's not how it works anymore. If you see trends that are happening now, you're going to find a lot more people taking on contract roles because then they don't get chastised for moving around, which, by the way, is what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. I'm loving this side channel today.
I have a question, Michael.
You're stripping.
Can we talk about the The feedback sandwich. I love that article.
The feedback sandwich. I hate that thing.
Sandwich.
Exactly.
Gotta love a shit sandwich. Shit sandwiches have nothing to do with millennials.
It's the same thing, though. Hey, I wanted to come in and talk. I want you to come in and talk to me. Hey, great job. You're doing great on this. But by the way, what I really wanted to talk to you about was where you were doing this really shitty job. Oh, but by the way, I love a great job and everything like that. The next thing you think about is think about how we give feedback to our pets. Imagine if we told that to our dog. Our dog wouldn't know what to do next. Am I bad? Am I good? What do I pee? Do I not? But by the way, we're more complex than dogs. But still,
I don't know.
We're gonna.
I respond really well to lots of praise and being stroked.
Not as well. Right. So, but think about it. We're saying, okay, good job, bad job, good job, and we want people to remember the one in the middle. And the bottom line is that you're not going to remember all of that stuff, or you're going to focus on the good stuff or the bad stuff. What if we were to say, hey, I wanted to talk to you. I'm about to give you some constructive feedback. I want to make sure you're in a good mindset to use it. Yeah. Great. Look, in the presentation that you had with Penske Automotive, I felt like you were really condescending. You need to tune that down a little bit because your clients are going to become more positive when you do that. This isn't to tell you that you're a bad employee. This is to tell you, I want to see you improve because you could get better. Yeah. Do you have any questions? Boom.
Yeah.
That's it.
So my question to that would be, how was I? Like, what was it about it that made me that way? And I think that's when you then get the managers who can't actually, it was a tone thing. It was a this thing. It was a, you know what I mean? So at least you're providing the training to help them to deliver feedback as well. Because
not only that, think about the connection and the trust you're building with your employee when you're giving them that feedback. If you give somebody positive feedback all the time, it doesn't build that same level of trust that you do when it's going to be balanced. You're going to get good feedback, you're getting bad feedback, because we all have room for improvement.
Yeah. I think. Do you ever see a trend for where someone's really good at a technical role? They're fantastic. They've been there a long time. So they get promoted to manager, but they're not a manager, and so then they can't give good reviews or constructive feedback because that's not what they do. They're technical.
So I mentioned earlier that I have this consulting firm that helped me launch iReview called Pillar One Consulting. I really don't do that much with it anymore, but every once in a while I'll get a referral call or an old friend will call me. I have the CIO for a major healthcare organization who called me not too long ago with that exact same topic. And the challenge, he didn't see that as a challenge. He said, do you know anybody that can come in and help me coach him up on how to be a better manager? I think that's where a lot of our technical folks get the short end of the stick. They get all this training, and by the way, that's where their mindset goes, and that's where their passion is. They get all this training on Ruby on Rails and Java and C++ and COBOL and machine language and all the languages that are out there that are defunct at this point. But you know what they don't get training on? How do you talk to your employee? Or how do you sit there and empathize with someone? How do you develop your EQ? You guys know what EQ is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you, and I don't say that condescendingly. I'm not sure if everybody.
Oh, no, but whether people knew the abbreviation, you mean?
Right. It's like,
Can I just interject on that? Because I'm not well, actually, I'm quite a whiz on WordPress, but other than that, I'm not technical. I would be the world's worst manager. If you heard the way I've been speaking to NatWest Bank, I will never manage people if I can avoid it, because I know that it's a shortfall in me. So that I knew that, and it was funny when I was working in organizations how they would want to push me up to be a manager, and it took a lot for me to go, I don't think that's wise. Yeah, I know me, and I don't think a lot of people are prepared to actually go, no, don't make me manager, because I'd love to pay, but I would be crap at it.
And it's funny, when I first started my career, I was in a recruiting agency, and I worked, and I was, 23, 24 years old, and I worked for somebody who was an awesome recruiter. And then she got promoted and got some people that worked for her. And the next thing you know, and I was one of the people who started to work for her, she did not want to manage. And she took it out on all of us.
Yeah. I would be shocking because I would ask you to do something, you wouldn't do it, and I'd go ballistic. I would just, that's why it's just better I just manage me.
Right.
Then I can tell me off. But I'm a great boss to myself.
But so do you think that you can turn someone that's not a manager into one, or do you think it's just not meant to be?
It depends. Cameron Firefish just said top billers don't always make good managers. Different mindset. Sometimes people want to take on that management role because they want to give back. And I think in that kind of situation, that person can become a good manager, but it takes some coaching. Some people are just really, really good at being a leader. And let's think of it from this leader perspective. Some people can really go and help others to achieve more than they thought they could have even achieved on their own. And some people just want to be individual contributors. All of these things are good.
Fine. They're all fine.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I will happily help people. I guess I don't want the commitment of having to do it all the time.
You're a team builder. That's, I think, what I'm.
Well, I'm more of a you'd ask me a question and I'll point you in the right direction. If I can't answer, I'll just answer. But I don't want to have that full blown responsibility of doing it all the time. And I think that's one of it. What did you just called it? One of your, well, probably more a mentor.
Yeah. Right. A leader. A coach, a leader.
Yes.
Something that isn't someone who's going to sit over your. I mean, and again, a manager is. I think it's a misaligned term. It's we don't sit over people's shoulders anymore and make sure that they're putting together a widget and throwing it out the door. A lot of people are knowledge workers these days, and there are nuances in an art form to getting your work done. And just because I do it a certain way and it's really efficient doesn't mean that it's going to be super efficient for you, although it will be, because I'm probably the smartest person to tell you what to do. That was a joke.
That's okay, I got it.
Well, Audra's sitting there and she's like, does he really?
Yeah, does he really?
No, I don't. I'm one of the dumber ones out there. I just work hard.
That's
okay.
Yeah.
That'll just play dumb, so everyone fills you in the information you need with minimum effort. Oh no, sorry, did I give away my trade secret? That's so true. What he's got, leader equals Captain America. Oh god, Jim, he's just I don't know how he has time. He'll be multitasking as well. He's probably on a client call and sourcing and typing here all at the same time. I don't know how he does it. It's quite extraordinary. Indeed, I am.
Well, that's another skill, multitasking. Not everyone can do it.
Right? I can't do that at all. My wife is really good at it.
I feel like women are better, but maybe that's just.
I think, what's funny is, so I'm going to take the other side of the coin. I don't think anybody's good at it. I think women think they're better at it.
Maybe.
But if you do too many things all at once, I feel like getting everything done at a B-.
Yeah.
So I find it funny when I'm chatting to one of my mates and I can tell, like, if it's on a video call, that he's doing something else and I'll say, you're not listening to me. And he will say back word for word what I've just said. It's like, how do you do that? Because if I'm reading an email, but I'm not listening.
What a jerk.
I start looking at that side channel. I'm not listening. It's just like, I've got to, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a talent. I thought you couldn't actually focus on two things at once. Like your brain can't actually listen and, but.
Well, apparently he can.
Yeah. Maybe.
I get caught out all the time, so I should be very careful. If I think he's not listening, don't say anything cheeky. So do you think that, coming back to the yes, we know that everybody wants the constant feedback, but do you think there is a fundamental difference in how managers deliver that to we oldies compared to we youngies, rather than using the M word? Is there a difference, or?
Well, so I think there might be a difference in delivery, but I don't think that there should be a difference in practice. When you think about it, people certainly want more feedback more frequently. And sometimes the folks who are a little bit younger might want it a different way or not.
Yeah, we've lost Audra.
Yeah, I think so.
She's gone. I wonder if I need to kick her.
She got
beat it out. Right, okay, let me kick. Right, hang on, I've got to.
Okay. I'll keep going.
That's okay. I need to unlock the seat to let her back in. Sorry. Keep going.
Okay. So one of the things that I think about is, a more mature worker or somebody who's got more experience. That's the HR way of saying old.
We're more seasoned.
Yeah. Again, I think what they want to do is they want to hear it. I think most people direct.
Yeah.
This is what you're doing wrong. Can you correct this? People who are a little bit less seasoned sometimes want the softening of that message. A lot of times because that's what they've been conditioned to get used to. But I don't think we can not change. I think that everybody has the ability to change. Part of it is being able to be situational in how you're delivering that message. Get to know you. So in other words, get to know your people. If you can get to know your people a little bit better, you're going to be able to know how to get the best out of them across the board, or not. And then maybe it's time to encourage that person to pursue excellence elsewhere.
So if I'm a brand spanking new manager who's quite clueless, because I would be clueless, I can assure you, I'd be one of the oldest managers you've got who's clueless. How am I getting to know my staff? What am I doing? Am I taking them to the pub, which would be, of course, the Australian way, or what am I doing?
When in Sydney, take them to the pub. Wear your pluggers and get them.
Take them to the pub. When in DC, take them to the pub.
Sure, I think that in Vino Veritas, you can certainly get to know lots of people, but when they let their guard down a little bit. But you don't necessarily have to do that. I think that a good practice is just to sit down and say, hey, let's talk about what we want. And let's talk about how we achieve our goals together. And sometimes what you want, there was one time where I was coaching somebody that worked for me, and he said, I don't think you're going to be the best coach for me. And I said, all right, why? He goes, well,
okay, why? I'd get all defensive. I'd be all upset.
No. You know what? I said, why? Well, you're younger than me. What could I possibly learn from you? You're not technical. He was an HRIS person. What could I possibly learn from you? And I said, well, who would be a good mentor? I don't want to stand in the way of you getting a good mentor. He goes, well, I think, and he named the CEO of the company. Now, this is a publicly traded, 3,000 person organization, and he thought he should be mentored by the person running this company.
Running this huge organization.
I told him, I said, Ken, I think he would be a good mentor too. I don't think he has the time to do that, unfortunately. So why don't we stick with this and let's see how it goes. And I said, some of the things that I'm going to be coaching you on are some of the things that you need to be coached on, like tact. and he took
we should talk later.
It's funny. He was like, what, point taken. Just listening. One of the things I talk about a lot whenever I give a presentation is we've got 2 ears and 1 mouth, because listening is so much more important than speaking. So I just listened to him and I heard what he had to say.
Yeah. Have you copped this question, Audra, or do you want me to get it from Jim?
From Jim? Sure. How do you delineate feedback versus criticism, especially at the risk of a positive working relationship? Great question.
That's a great question, Jim. So whenever I think of criticism, I think of something that you're talking to someone about personally. You smell. Your hair is too long. Your eyes are the wrong color.
Certainly my fringes.
I'm not talking to either one of you guys.
It's getting cut right after this blab. I better see again. It's like I'm disappearing.
So being critical is, I don't know that it's necessarily a good thing. However, being constructive, when you're talking about someone's work product, someone's relationships at work, how they maybe are coming across to other people. These are all things that are constructive. And sometimes, I once had to counsel somebody at a large company about the fact that they had BO. How do you coach someone on that? I had no idea. So in
Australia, we have this. So I don't live there anymore, but you just reminded me of this brilliant commercial. That was, don't wait to be told, you need Palmolive Gold. And it was this brilliant bar of soap. So you could have just given him the bar of soap and walked off.
Yeah. I
completely offended him, but it would have been funny in Australia. It's completely not funny in Britain, I hasten to add.
I don't know how that would be received here in the States, but
not well. You could anonymously drop it in his pigeonhole or something.
Yeah,
they wouldn't have those anymore. They wouldn't have those anymore.
You know how I positioned it?
No. Hey, oh God, I dread.
By the way, it was a woman you know,
Oh, wow.
It makes it even harder.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
I said, hey, is everything okay at home? Why? Well, I noticed that some of the things that are going on, like you look tired a lot and you don't look like you normally did. Well, what do you mean? I said, I don't know. You know, you look very, very tired. It seems like some of your personal appearance and hygiene has gone by the wayside.
I would be so offended.
But how
Yeah.
else do you do it? And I said, the reason I'm asking is because I care.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
She was fine the next day.
No, you'd have lost me before because I care.
No, yeah, I like that.
I don't.
Yeah.
Did you duck from the impending slap? I would have slapped you for that.
Yeah.
I'd have slapped you and you look tired.
I think
I'd
that
be
because
like,
I care is really important.
Yeah.
Say that you're trying. Look, I'm trying to help
Maybe
you.
get that in earlier. Yeah.
Good. And again, at that point in time, I don't know that I was a good manager, but I thought for like 4 days before I delivered that message. And I'm like, okay, if this doesn't work, I don't know what will.
Mm-hmm.
Ducking.
Yeah.
So,
I
John.
didn't have to.
Oh, we have another really good question.
Yeah, from John. Have you got that? Yeah. Go for it.
Yeah. Does continuous 360-degree feedback have a place today? I was going to ask that. I love it.
No question. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I do think so. You know, I think that you need to be careful about it though, and make it so that you're not giving feedback that might be more attacking. So in other words, 2 peers competing for the favor of their manager, and one peer gives that other peer either, like a backhanded compliment feedback, keep doing something. So everybody needs to remember that the mission is in mind. But I do think that once you get your organization,
I'm so sorry. I have to actually answer this. I'm sorry,
We got
Audra.
it. We're
Sorry.
good.
Hello.
and there she goes. So I do believe that it does have a place in today. I think that it needs to be cautiously moved towards, except in organizations where they really have this feedback culture and everybody is really striving for the company and mission of the organization.
I actually saw it backfire once pretty badly, I thought. It was for a chief CHRO, what are they called? And so he could tell 2 of the people that gave negative feedback. He knew who they were because it was kind of obvious from the feedback. And he ended up laying them off like, a few months later. So that it makes me nervous to give honest feedback for those types of things.
So quite frankly, that guy's an asshole.
Yeah.
Here's the reason why. Feedback's a gift. And if you're getting constructive feedback, that will sometimes mean that it's, it's not personal, but it's
He took it personal.
What you want to hear. But if you think of feedback as being a gift, then you're going to think, okay, maybe I can change. Maybe I can start to do something a little bit different.
Yeah, he took it really obviously personal.
Right.
But I was really glad that I was just really nice, and that when it was my turn, I was like, he's great. There's nothing wrong. So it didn't really work.
And what's funny is, and I'm not trying to make this about a publicity for iReview, certainly, but one of the things that I have consciously stayed away from with iReview is anonymous feedback. I think it's terrible.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think people should be tied to the web.
Just sorry.
I've
come back and I've been heckled. I'm sorry.
But that's interesting. I thought anonymous feedback was good. I'm curious.
Right. And Matt just wrote something about, but the 2 people got screwed and he's probably still there. I'm a firm believer. And again, this is more of the karmic side in me. I'm a firm believer that that's going to come around and bite that guy at some point in time. You can only cover your trail for so long. Eventually, you got to be honest with yourself and with others.
Yep, that makes sense. So interesting. All your feedback, people know. Well, yeah, because it's from a manager. That makes sense.
Well, no. Through iReview, you have the ability to give anybody feedback in the entire company. There's a setting that we have that's 360-degree feedback, and people ask, well, can we give it anonymously? No. Well, I'm going to have a really hard time giving constructive feedback to someone if it's not anonymous. Why? Because it's really hard to give constructive feedback. Yes.
See, I would worry that the other person would take it really personally, and then you'd have an issue.
Right. Well, and that's where the training comes in and says, "Hey, look, let's talk about this in our next one-on-one."
Because I mean, what I was thinking when we were talking about this, have I just killed it, or is it all okay?
No.
We all okay?
No.
So I thought I killed the blab because it flashed. It was like, oh God. But like, I'm a really loud, blunt person, but I'm actually really, really sensitive. And I think, so sometimes people will just go blur at me, and I will take it initially, always, every single time, which is what Audrey just said. So is some of the training you give about that, or like recognizing that sometimes people have got this shell that's not really who they are?
It is part of the training that we do is actually how to not be a jackass when you're getting constructive feedback. That's what I call it. There's 3 sections to it. And I talk about these 3 concepts of why it's really important to take feedback. So I'll give you an example. I was recently doing a retraining with one of my clients who renewed, and they said they were asking about, hey, how long should our feedback be through your tool? And I said, look, be concise and short. Think of Twitter for feedback, but you need to be really clear in what the feedback is. If you start to write something that's too long, it's going to turn into a TLDR situation.
Yeah.
And they were like, what's that? And I said, oh, you guys must not have, kids that do a lot of texting. TLDR means too long, didn't read. So you ever get those emails that are way too long? TLDR means that. So then a few minutes later.
Can I have a version for voicemail that's too long or didn't listen? I guess TLDR. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't leave me a voicemail. I will not listen to it. I'll just call you back. Yeah. I just call back. I don't even listen to them.
Right, exactly. So later on in this conversation, I was saying, okay, so who's brave enough to give me some feedback? So oh my gosh, Jim, are you telling me our conversation's boring?
No. I love this. Can I refer that training to some ex-girlfriends? I didn't tell them.
Right. So the thing that happened was I said, who's brave enough to give me some feedback? Let's practice. This is a safe room, the trust tree. Yeah. Nobody's going to get hurt. And there's a woman in the back of the room that raised her hand and says to me, "You're TLDR." Nice. And I was like, whoa, okay.
Excuse me. Did you do that? Did you do the whole?
No. I said I didn't recognize her, and I said, So what I'm hearing is that you think that I'm being a little bit verbose and I'm going into too much detail. And she goes, yeah. and I said,
which is otherwise known as STFU, according to Mr.
Exactly.
Darren down there.
So I was like, okay, that's cool. I'll try to close this up a little bit. I got a call from the CFO that night of this company who was in the training apologizing to me for her behavior. And he's like, that's not how we do things here. And I said, oh, well, I never saw her before. What does she do? She's been here 3 days. She's a temp.
Okay.
Today was her last day. I think that was the straw. Yeah. I think we've done other things like that, but yeah. Yeah, exactly. Mike Recruiter says, I usually ask for cliff notes on the conversation. Yeah, that's kind of right.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I think that was part of my frustration with the bank. I needed to have recorded the same story that I kept playing over and over.
Did you resolve it?
The last time I'm saying it. Apparently my company name is now my correct company name. That doesn't mean the check's gone in because they can't get through to the branch because the branch won't answer the phone. Okay. And I can't get to the branch today. So it's like, Anyway, that's the end of that conversation. Someone wrote a karma comment back there. Yes, they're all going to have a miserable weekend. Karma from not sorting out my bank details. Anyway, back to the point at hand. I probably could do with some of your how to give feedback to the bank.
No, I think that the bank, you should yell at that. Very appropriate to yell at somebody like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It made me feel better. Actually, I have to say, considering my tone of voice, they were all amazing with me. They were all really civil. I would not have been so civil. I thought they were incredible. So they've obviously had amazing. I know, but even still. So, and they weren't taking it personally. I was just saying, like, somebody has put in these ridiculous layers of bureaucracy. And I was actually really impressed. Maybe they've been through your training.
Well, I was just going to say,
Have you trained them, Michael?
You just went through my training, and you didn't even know it. You used techniques to give them feedback on how they should be doing things better, and now you're.
And it made you feel better.
Yeah, I imagine screaming at them was giving them feedback.
Right. So
is your office always outside? Or is this
if
just
anybody
today?
knows what's been going on in DC, I saw animals walking in 2x2 down my street the other day because we've had 2 weeks or 40 days and nights worth of rain, and I'm sitting outside because I'm like,
but it's now stopped.
What is that?
Audra and I.
So no, I'm sitting on my deck and just sort of listening.
I have another.
Can I just say something? Oh my God, sorry. I've never had a hot birthday. Ever. Because in Australia, May 27 is cold, and in London it's fucking freezing.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Hey,
I didn't swear.
Katrina,
oh my goodness.
It'd be nice.
Audra, 28. That's like 28. Oh, let me just translate that to Fahrenheit for you kiddies. Sorry,
I don't know.
Keep talking. Don't just ignore me.
I don't know if you saw me strip a few minutes ago, but I always have a hot.
I did. 82. 82. Oh, it's going to be the smallest bag. So no rain for me next week, but roasting.
I got one last question if we have time. Do you get pushback, Michael, from like the HR team when you start to implement this, where they're like, nope, we need formalized documents once a year, or do they still do that and also use your program? How does that work?
Yeah, so honestly, it's funny. Now we're getting to the question: is it time to axe the annual review?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yes.
There are lots of companies that want to do it, and there are big companies right now that are doing it. Companies like Accenture, Deloitte, Microsoft, Netflix, Adobe, GE, the founders of the annual review. Everybody's saying we're getting rid of annual reviews. I think it's going to be harder to do than people think that it's going to be, because everybody, first of all, it's ingrained in company culture. And secondly, it does capture everything in a nice, neat little package for you to take with you and go back to work and say, okay, now I have all these things to do. So there's going to be some change management that happens around getting rid of annual reviews. And the larger the company is, I think the more challenging it is. What we've tried to do at iReview is say, you don't have to get rid of annual reviews, but you should be giving feedback more frequently anyway. And what we can do with our software is basically integrate it with, a web-based performance management system so that it automatically populates the annual review. So managers still spend way less time writing them. So we do get a lot of pushback. Where I get pushback that we can't solve is we want everything to tie nicely in together in one big package. It's just not the trend where companies are going now in terms of enterprise-wide software. Companies are now going towards, let's do what's best for each particular aspect for our people.
Very cool.
What about just making it so it's just audio or something? So you can just record it and they don't have to write. That'll take them less time. Is that too scary because then it's recorded, particularly me?
So there's two things you're asking there, Katrina. The way that some systems like mine works is you can speak it into iReview and it'll voice to text, all of that. Also,
oh my God, can I get that from my email? Right.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But
the
so
other
cool.
thing is we're building a repository of words like shit and asshole that you're not allowed to use, and it'll highlight that and say, hey, you might want to use a different word here.
Who puts shit on an annual review? What? That's terrible.
I know.
I would.
It depends.
Because we swear, like Australians swear.
Verbally swearing is different though than actually putting it on a review for someone.
Well, imagine this, Audra.
Audra is quite shit at this. Audra is shit with dogs, great with cats.
No, how about this? Audra, you hired 50 people in the last quarter. You rocked that shit.
Yeah, it could be positive shit.
Not appropriate. I agree.
Why? I think that's awesome.
You're right. There's a difference between shit
I love
and
that.
the shit. Big difference.
Okay, so here's what I love what John's written here. My challenge when writing annual reviews is how to say average 47 different ways.
Yeah, really good.
That's that's what the thesaurus is
awesome.
for.
See, he needs to feed the 47 different ways he's worked out how to do that into your system so people can change out the word average.
iReview says I've used
Theoretically, I should
average 47 times. I may want to change the word I'm using.
But also, he should be telling them what they can do to be above average, right?
Exactly. Or you've achieved mediocrity. Let's try and get you to the next level.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's tough. It's tough. It's good that you're coaching in that space because I just don't think there's enough of it.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, the receiving of feedback is really important too, because look, I got constructive feedback all the time. My wife gives me constructive feedback always. Now I've improved. On my wife's feedback is exponentially more than I would have done without her. But you know, getting constructive feedback hurts sometimes, and people get defensive.
Do you get defensive, or are you so trained that you're always accept it well?
I still get defensive. But in a training session, I don't. When somebody tells me I'm TLDR, and I want to say STFU,
or FU,
you know,
FY for that matter. Sorry, But also, I think one of the things I noticed when you said I'm going to give you some constructive feedback, I would immediately be on the defense. I just would. It's just my nature.
I would be nervous.
Yeah.
Well, so
I think a lot of people have the fear of being in trouble. So if they were, as a child, always in trouble, and then the school reports always in trouble, they take that through into adulthood. And if it's never dealt with, and that's a huge one. I see that in a lot of people.
Sounds like.
Oh yeah, but I have a network. Gotcha. I mean, I was always in trouble. I was in trouble for breathing. But the seeing that go through and then seeing it in other people, and it's a real tough one because there's lots of people who sort of fear of being found out and all that kind of stuff, but actually fear of being in trouble, and it's huge. So the second even if you're going to give them a compliment, they can be like, "Which way is this going to go? Oh God, what have I done now?" Blah blah blah. Even when they're doing well, even when they're excelling, it's a tough one.
I think that's pretty common.
Yeah.
I think it's really common, but I don't know that people talk about it. So obviously close to my heart, so I talk about it. Jim's just written, that explains a lot. I hope that's not what I just said.
But hopefully a good manager, if they were a good manager, they would sense the fact that the person's really nervous. And maybe, I don't know if you would adjust the way they say it, but, you know, maybe say.
I think it can be hard because I was so prickly. I was really, I mean, I'm being honest, I was so tough to manage before I actually got help for it and dealt with a lot of the stuff. So I was so on edge. I feel for some managers, it must be really tough.
Yeah, because people are.
But sometimes as you're building your relationship with your employees, you should be saying to them, hey, I know you're going to get nervous about this. Don't be. This is going to be one of those good conversations. Or I know you're going to get nervous about this, but don't worry. We're going to fix this issue.
But together. That's a good manager. There's so many crap ones that wouldn't even sense that or understand that.
Yeah, no, I get it. I totally get it.
So I get where you're coming from because I get better managers, better people, better productivity, people are staying. But, you know, I'm a big company who has big problem and has to pay for you. Do they just immediately go, oh, I don't see the value in this? Or how do we sell you as value? Like, I get it, but are they seeing that? Are they getting that there's a retention problem? Are they getting?
Yeah, I mean, one of the ways is, you know, we've determined that managers can spend 50% less time writing annual reviews by giving people real-time and more frequent feedback. Okay, so if you translate that into dollars, 50% of the time doing something administrative means more time billing their client or doing something where they're making money for the company.
That's easy.
And then if you even say that to a manager and they're like, oh yeah, I hate writing those annual reviews. Yeah, this could help me quite a bit. But you're going to get into more frequent feedback. You're going to get out of more frequent feedback what you put into it. So if you are doing it consistently and really creating what's called a continuous feedback loop, well, then you're going to reap the manager will reap the benefits of that as well. But it takes some work. Don't get me wrong.
But not only that, I think then you get happy employees, and the happy employees aren't going to Glassdoor and bitching about you, so you can hire better because obviously that's our expertise. But you know, it goes full cycle. And I just think now you've just got to do more to keep people in a company because we're much less tolerant.
Yeah.
All age groups.
Jim's got a good
here's a
one.
question.
He's asking about how often you use iReview to give is it whenever you need to, or is it quarterly, monthly, or?
Yeah.
Semi-annually. What's a semi-annually?
Twice a year.
That's not enough.
Sorry, I'm joking. It's obviously a weird American expression.
It is. We're so weird. So,
Oh my God. You guys, you come up with the most amazing things like candidate outreach. And I just want to
Talent personas.
Oh, you mean send me an email?
that's true.
That's to
But
me.
when we lift something, we do this. We don't get into an elevator.
Yeah.
And
It's
when we go home, we're not going to our flat. What's a flat?
I live in a maisonette. I don't know what you're talking about.
So Jim,
right.
your question, how do you gauge? I think that it's gonna be very personalized. I think that quarterly is still too infrequent. I think having a monthly or bi-monthly meeting with your employee about how things are going, especially when you first are working with someone or if you're a new manager. But feedback can happen all the time. And the other thing is, as an employee, if I've just finished a deliverable or a project or something, I should be asking for feedback too.
Good point.
So self-protection, weekly or daily interactions are best. Yeah, the more frequent, the better. But sometimes that's not realistic either.
Well, interesting you say that. So maybe not on a one-to-one level, but the event I'm running, so I'm doing Disrupt HR, the first one here across the pond. So excited. So Jennifer McClure's event. There's the guys coming from Happy or Not Limited, which is so cool. So they do those funny little machines where you hit the red, the I'm grumpy or the happy. Yeah, they're in customs. I love it every time I go through the airport. Miserable if they inspect my bag, happy if they don't. But I actually think, at least for an overall picture, if there's that near the door and people are whacking it as they go in and out, I think that's quite cute, quite cool. I guess unless they get bored of the novelty of it. But at least you can kind of gauge. You still need what you're talking about, but at least it would show you've got a problem you need to deal with.
Yeah, and so one of the things that we've also stayed away from is like 1 to 5 scales, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And the reason we did that is because if you think about it, let's say, for example, I'm getting all this feedback on a terrible communicator. So I got like 2 out of 5 stars on communication. First of all, I don't want to be turned into the Yelp of feedback bill, whatever, or the mayor of the feedback bill. But the second thing is, now I know I'm crappy at communication. What do I do? Nobody's told me what to do.
Yeah. Yeah. True. You got lots of questions coming down the side. As long as it's not into micromanagement. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, I mean, that's very true. And again, it's not necessarily about the how. It's more about here's what's happening. So, Mark, you bring up a really good point.
Yeah. Managers should not be like whack-a-mole and maintaining dialogue keeps that from happening. Yeah, no, I get that. No, I didn't mean slap people down. I meant vote.
Yeah.
Is that what that toy is called? I would need to get my hands on one of those for a friend of mine. Another whole conversation, not for this lab. So what's next? What's next for iReview? What's the plan?
Well, I mean, we're making some really good traction right now. Companies, we've got 100% retention with our clients right now. People are signing up year over year. So
it works all right.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it works all right then.
Yeah.
Oh, it works. It works. And
100% retention.
That's amazing.
Oh, link to your website, please. Oh. It's IRUVU, right?
Oh, we got it.
Huh? You're getting it.
I just sent it to you guys.
Oh, cool.
You can go to ireview.me.
There we go.
And we're putting some really neat, cool functionality in. We launched dashboards not too long ago, so HR can take a look at who's being naughty and who's being nice.
I so want to be naughty. Do I get naughty?
Yeah. Did you say wanna be or are?
Both.
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all, have a little bit of a naughty streak to us. Yeah, you just got a bunch of high fives for that.
It's because I'm unemployable. I was having this whole conversation about being unemployable, and someone didn't understand it. And I'm just going, I'm unemployable. Yeah.
So what we have down the road, though, is being able to take and anonymize a lot of the feedback that we're getting and push stats out to our customers about this is what we're seeing across the world on some of the things that are trending in feedback. So I can't talk too much about it, but it's we have some really neat stuff coming in the next 6 to 8 months.
Culturally, it's so different as well. When you're changing countries and stuff, it must make it quite fascinating. If it's like me training in different countries, I find it so different. Depends where I am as to how it's received and whether they'll challenge you. And
Oh, absolutely.
Interesting. Are your clients global? Or more US?
So the clients are all based here, but some of our clients have a global footprint. And we have been in conversations with companies, actually one company in Australia. And a couple of companies in the UK about joining us, but all of our companies right now are US based, some of them with a global footprint.
Ooh,
Question from Jim. What do you think of the idea of companies surveying their workers about how happy they are at the company, then posting the response on their career site in real time? Oh, I like that.
I like it, but I don't think companies would do it.
Yeah, what if you've got good staff and you've, had Michael in and they're all happy and
but
I like
they're never all happy.
Exactly.
Because one guy's gonna have a bad day.
A net promoter score. Exactly, Mark. I think it would be interesting.
It'd average out. Come on, it'd average out.
It could totally work, but if your company score is shitty, can you imagine that? Why would you post that? But if you could show incremental improvement, that would be huge.
But if you knew that you were okay and you were about to go through the process of becoming better than okay, like you're saying with you would be brave enough to do it. But you know what? It's out there anyway. Facebook reviews, Indeed reviews, before we even get onto obviously Glassdoor. But the other two, oh my goodness, wow, people are amazing on those two. So it's out there anyway.
They are. I almost think the companies with the least amount of responses on those areas are the ones that are the happiest, because who's got time to talk crap about a company if they're doing well and they're liking it?
Exactly.
They're busy working.
If the employers are happy, it would make it easier to recruit for that company. It sure would, Jim. Collective feedback to the company.
Talk about transparency, actually.
Oh, I hate it when the thing changes when you're in the middle of reading it.
Yeah, it's going by fast.
It's cool.
Yeah, I like that.
I all reviews over time. Nobody is doing that in real time. True.
Yeah.
Jim's going to go to Shark Tank with that one.
Yeah, he's just stolen Michael's idea and is running with it.
Do it.
It's going to plug into yours somehow. His system and your system, there'll be a plug-in.
Absolutely.
A Chrome extension, a Google Chrome extension. I love that idea. I think it's really cool. So, but again, I mean, it goes back to you don't look after employees, they're going to go. Yep. It's just different now, different world. Yeah. And I still don't think it's an age thing or an entitlement thing. I think it's a visibility. Visibility.
I agree.
Which then flips to the recruiting, because you can see in before you even have to answer that person's email and decide if you're going to work with them. So it's a lovely world we live in with this technology. I love it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Look at the chat we've just been able to have thanks to tech.
I know. You guys, I hate to do this, but I have to go to a client.
That's okay. I've got to get my.
Make sure you don't give them the shit sandwich.
No, I won't. I promise.
No, don't swear. Don't swear.
And I'll come back if they tell me I'm too verbose. I'll let you know. Hey, I've gotten this feedback more than once.
And I went STFU.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever it is, whichever way around it is.
I'm gonna get you the T-shirt.
Yeah, I like that. TL:DR. So you guys, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. Just quickly to wrap up, we're not on next week because, well, I'm in DC and it's my birthday, so we're not on next week. But we do have John on the following week. Resourceful John Rose, the week after. So please come back in a fortnight. And definitely follow the Recruit DC hashtag next week. It's going to be fun.
Yeah,
we're all going to be there.
Absolutely. Oh, wait, one quick question.
Oh, yeah.
What's a fortnight?
Better than that. What do we call it? Semi-annual. It's a semi-month. It's not quite a semi-month. It's nearly. Anyway, on that note, thank you
so much, Michael.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.